Hi, welcome to Moyna Bass Fishes. I'm Jim Moyna, and in this channel, we talk about bass fishing most of the time, not all the time. Today's topic is Leech Lake. It's a lake in north central Minnesota. It's for years, historically, it's known as a walleye muskie lake. um, then back, I don't know, sometime around 1990 or so, it kind of became known also as a largemouth lake. And recently, in the recent years, it's now adding smallmouth to the mix. So I've never gone there to fish smallmouths. I haven't. I've only been to Leech Lake maybe once. Um, I don't know, in the past. Literally, it's been a long time. I fished one tournament maybe about 7 years ago there, and before that, I hadn't been there for like 10 years probably. So, um, but anyways, back in the day when the largemouth scene started happening there, I was there on and off for a while, and in fact, my first, actually, it would have been my second uh, win in any sort of money tournament. This would have been, I think it was 1991. My second win ever in a money tournament was on Leech Lake. So, um, but yeah, so I decided yesterday, which would have been May 31st, 2023, I decided yesterday to go check out the smallmouth scene there because, like I said, I haven't been there for a long time. And in recent years, it's been taking smallmouth to win some of these tournaments. So I just thought I'd go check it out. And I've been waiting for I had to wait about a week for the weather to be right because you see, with this time of year, the smallmouths are going to be, a lot of them are going to be shallow. And Leech Lake is a huge lake. Lots of places you can go, lots of places to check out. So I wanted to go there on a calm, sunny day where it's got clear water. I could see at the height of the visibility yesterday, I could see down about 7 feet or so. And so I wanted to go there and check out the smallmouth scene and check it out because, like I said, some tournaments are being won out there with smallmouths now with some pretty good catches of over 20 pounds. So that's what I did. Hooked up my Ranger, drove over there. It's about a 45-minute drive to the boat landing in Whipple, which I used yesterday. And I went out there and just probably got there about 9:30 or 10. Get there any earlier. Well, I guess I could have got there about 8:30. Sun's not good for what I wanted to be doing until about 8:30, really. But I got there about 9:30, 10, and had about 6 really good hours until a little bit of wind came up and some clouds came in around 5 or so. So I had a good 6 hours of just cruising hard and just eyeballing all these shallow shoreline areas. And what I found out was there are some nice smallmouths in Leech Lake, but there's also a lot of unoccupied prime habitat for them. So, in other words, this population still has lots of room to expand. Because I got into some areas, some rock reef areas that had an awesome mixture of boulders, smaller rock, pea gravel, all beautiful combinations of shallow smallmouth habitat where eventually there would be some beds being put. And not only was I not seeing beds in some of these areas, I wasn't even seeing cruising fish in some of these areas of just prime smallmouth habitat. So that's kind of exciting to know that there's definitely some room for expansion. And I only covered maybe 10%. I mean, like I said, the lake's huge. I only covered like 10% of the lake. So there's maybe 15. So there's a lot of areas I didn't even got to. I did come across one place where there was a school of them. They were all about, probably average about 2 pounds, and there must have been about 15, 20 of these fish just hanging out on this one section of this one rock reef. So that was encouraging that they're able to group up like that. And I did see one really quality fish kind of right in that. I don't think he was associating herself with that group, just happened to be part of that, very close to the vicinity, just hanging out there. So that was a quality fish. But what did I catch? I didn't really catch a whole lot. I caught, let's just talk about the stage that these fish are in. I would say Leech Lake, where I was fishing, was primarily, most of the fish were not set up on beds yet, but there were beds. But most of them were just kind of hanging out, cruising, and those cruising, hanging out pre-spawn fish were extremely skittish, extremely. They were, once, if they saw you, it was for sure over, for sure over. The only chance you had at getting one to bite was by casting to it without it knowing that you were there. So, which was hard for me to do because I had the boat moving really fast with the Minn Kota, and so when I would see one, I'd be all over the top of it with my boat before I had a chance to stop the boat's momentum and stuff, and of course the fish would see me. But I wasn't there necessarily to catch the fish. I mean, yeah, sure, I wanted to catch them, that's always fun, but I was there just trying to learn about the population and maybe some areas where they're hanging out. So like I said, most of the fish were in the cruising pre-spawn phase up shallow. But there were a few beds. There were some fish bedded, not a lot, but there were some. And for the most part, though, I really had to cover a lot of water before I'd see a fish. I might go a quarter mile and then see one, and then I might not be another quarter mile. Then I might see two. That's kind of how it was. Probably throughout the whole day, I maybe saw. Well, if you take that school of 15 to 20 out of the equation, I probably saw maybe an additional 15 fish, maybe 20 at most, maybe 15. So, and a lot of those that's including like small fish too, just little ones. I saw the biggest, okay, now let's talk about what I caught. So, the biggest one I caught was probably like 4.5 pounds, I'm guessing. The fish are really healthy looking in there, just like Mille Lacs Lake, similar build where they really are filled out, just really nice. So they're eating really good, and there's tons of crawdads in Leech Lake, just tons of them. So I'm sure they take their share of crawdads in that lake for sure. But anyways, yeah, that 4.5 pounder was my biggest. And then that was just a cruising one I caught on a Billy Rub's Ned bait. And that was a case where the fish I saw him between me and the shore off to the side. So my boat was going this way, and I saw him way over to the side up shallow, just kind of on a sand. It wasn't even rock there. It was just kind of a sand. It was an area where there's a sand and weed patches mixed kind of. And when I say weed, not even weeds, just dark, scrubby stuff on the bottom mixed with sand, more dark, scrubby stuff in sand. And I saw him off to the side over there. One cast over there, he swam over and ate it, and I caught him, or her. Then I caught a couple fish that were like, I don't know, 3.25-ish pounds. They were over 3 pounds, probably not over 3.5. And those were a couple bedding fish. Of course, all these fish are released, of course. So, and then I saw other bedding fish I didn't even mess with. It's like, I was just mainly, like I said, just wanted to cruise around and check out. So I certainly left plenty of bedding fish alone. And then I caught just a handful of other, just smaller fish. So really, I only caught like 5 or 6 fish maybe that whole time I was there. So definitely got a lot I imagine there's some areas where maybe I didn't get to that are maybe some of the prime areas. Because like I said, there was some habitat that oh my gosh, I can't believe there weren't smallies in some of these places. just cannot believe it. But anyways, they were. There are some there. There are some nice ones there. Some. I mean, like I said, I caught the one that was close to 4.5, and I saw a few other. I saw one that was probably bigger than that. Saw a couple others that were maybe pushing that. Definitely saw some other, nice 3.5 pounders in that. And then saw, good share of like 2 pound kind of stuff. So that populate, and like I said, back in 1990, nobody was catching smallies there. Hardly. I mean, there might have been just an odd one caught in one of the lakes connecting to it or something. So I don't know how they got there. Who knows? Don't know. So I guess then the other thing is, once it got to be about 5:30, the wind kind of came up, some clouds rolled in. So then I pulled up stakes and went over behind Bear Island, which is a bunch of habitat over there for largemouths. And just to give you a little largemouth insight here, the largemouths, they're bedded up too. Saw some. I mean, I only was on the largemouth pattern over there. I was probably there for about 45 minutes. So saw a few on beds there. I didn't see any females. These are just males up bedding. So that just kind of gives you an idea of where they're at. So anyways, I don't know. That's about it for. I mean, what else could I add to that? Could I add? I don't know. I'm excited. How long will it take for that lake to be fully populated with smallmouths? That's kind of a good question. And I'm guessing, I mean, it's still in an expansion phase, because when I see all that rock habitat and some prime shallow, just spawning type areas that are completely unoccupied, that tells me that there's definitely room for expansion in Leech Lake. It's going to be, and just like what we saw with Mille Lacs had smallies, always had smallies in it, but then they just kind of took off about 20 years ago or so. And we're in that takeoff phase right now with Leech Lake, so it'll be fun and exciting to see what grows and develops there. Should be a one heck of a fishery in 15. I would say in 15 years it should be just incredibly. I mean, like 10 times better than what it is now, barring some super unusual thing that happens. So, anyways, water temperature. Let's talk about water temperatures. Water temperatures when I got there were kind of in the low 60s, and by the time I left, it was like pushing 70. So good spawning indicator. They should have been. They're going to be building nests probably all week, and hopefully next week I can get out there. I already looked at the long range forecast. I do want to get out there one more time. And next week I saw a couple days where they're forecasting light and variable winds. So I might have to make a trip out there next week and there's some winds like that forecast for Saturday too. But I don't know if I'll be able to get out there on Saturday. We'll see, maybe. So anyhow, again, this was May 31st, 2023. And thanks for watching. Over.